So you want to go to King of the Hammers for the first time to watch the race. What do you need to know? Let's go.
I said go and line up. Whoever got next is fine with us. Line up.
This race is just an attrition race. 75 to 80% of the 120-ish racers that start that day aren't getting to the end.
We are in the desert in Johnson Valley in the literal middle of nowhere.
The race is so hard because you have a vehicle that has to do two things. It has to go through desert at a high speed, but it also has to be able to go over gigantic rocks.
You need to pace yourself. This is endurance racing. This last year was 7.5 hours.
Yeah, but look at that, the top three, less than a second dividing them.
The way I describe being in a race car is you are in a plane crash that is happening for 8 hours of your day. When should you go? Well, King of the Hammers has become an incredibly drawn out process at this point. It's now essentially 2 full weeks worth of events in Johnson Valley. So it's kind of divided up into 2 weeks. You have your desert racing week, then you have your rock week. So if you're like me and you are a fan of the original King of the Hammers, so that's your 4,400 cars, Everyman Challenge cars, and UTVs in the rocks of the Hammers trails, then you're gonna wanna be there for Rock Week. Now, does that mean that you have to be there for the whole week? Well, that really depends on what you want to experience. So in Rock Week, which essentially starts Monday and goes to the end of Saturday, you have a couple days of qualifying, and then you have a UTV race, an Everyman Challenge race, and then lastly, you have the big Race of Kings, or the 4,400 race. And that's gonna go from Monday to the end of Saturday. I think it would be good for you to earmark a day just to spend in Hammertown walking around. So you'd probably wanna get there one day before the actual racing started. So maybe plan to get there Wednesday. Get there on Wednesday morning, experience everything that's happening, and then you can watch racing Thursday, Friday, and then honestly on Saturday, even though that's when the big race is, what you'll notice on the lake bed is once the race starts, most of the big vendors pack up and leave. So I'm gonna get to that a little bit later on. So at the very least, Wednesday to Saturday, if you can do the whole week, it would be great because every night of the week, there's something happening inside Hammertown. It'd be kind of cool to see all that. So my opinion, the best time to go is during that Rock Week. If you want to see some desert racing, maybe add in the Saturday and Sunday before that so you can see some of the desert racing vehicles out there. But I still think the best time to be there is during Rock Week. So that's when I would go if it was my first time. Where should I stay? Now, this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to say this right now. If it's your first time attending King of the Hammers, although it may sound really cool to rent an RV and camp on the lake bed, unless there's a large group of you going, and more importantly, unless there's a large group of you going with a few in your group that have experience with RVs in that desert setting, don't get an RV. Stay in town. So you have 2 choices. You can get a local Airbnb in a place called Landers or even in Yucca, or there's hotel rooms available in Yucca Valley. It is a 40-minute drive at the most from downtown Yucca out to the lake bed. I do it every day when I work King of the Hammers, and trust me, that trade-off for a hot shower after a day in the cold desert, because yes, the desert is cold that time of year, it's worth the drive back into town. Plus, there's lots of other stuff to do around there. I mean, yeah, you're going to King of the Hammers, you're gonna be in Hammertown, you're gonna see a lot of stuff, but you're not gonna wanna spend 10 hours just walking around the desert. So there's going to be times when you want to basically take off and maybe go to Joshua Tree National Park or maybe check out some cool things in the area. So having the home base either at an Airbnb near Landers or at a hotel in Yucca or an Airbnb there, I personally think that's going to make your first trip to King of the Hammers that much more comfortable. So that would be what I would do. I would stay off the lake bed. And then maybe the next time you go, if you're feeling brave and you want to get an RV and set it up on the lake bed, maybe do that for your second or third trip. How do you get there? Well, there's lots of choices. I mean, if you're living in the West Coast, obviously you could drive there. If you're going to fly, my experience is the best place to fly is you fly into Palm Springs and you rent a car in Palm Springs. It's about an hour and 30 minutes from Palm Springs out to Yucca Valley. And then, as I said before, 40 minutes from Yucca Valley out to Johnson Valley. So you can fly into Palm Springs. You could rent a vehicle there. I've rented pickup trucks there. I've rented Jeeps there, all that kind of stuff. You can get a rental car right into Hammertown. The main road that drives in off of the highway, Boone Road, that goes in and goes across the desert. By the time Hammers happens, I mean, there's been hundreds of semis going down that road. There's been a bunch of water trucks up and down it many, many times, and many racers driving in and out in chase trucks. So it's well packed down and well preserved. It's a little bumpy, sure, but I mean, I've rented a Kia Soul and driven it into Hammertown every single day. So if you're flying in, fly to Palm Springs, maybe even spend the night in Palm Springs. Palm Springs is pretty cool. Get your rental car, head out to Johnson Valley. And that also speaks to what I was talking about before. If you stay off the lake bed, maybe one day you jump back into Palm Springs, do some Palm Springs stuff. Because like I said, it's only an hour and a half away. So staying off the lake bed honestly has a lot of benefits. So that's one way to get there. You can drive there, obviously. You can drive all the way out to Johnson Valley if you want to. That brings us to the next question, which would be, should I bring a vehicle to go four-wheeling with? My answer to that question is pretty simple. Absolutely not. Unless you're pitting for a race team, helping a friend racing, or you're a local with a lot of local knowledge of Johnson Valley, during King of the Hammers is not the time to go recreational four-wheeling. Yes, there's a lot of people, you'll see them there, they go out at night, you'll see them at Chocolate Thunder and Backdoor, you see a lot of shenanigans going on. Like I said, if you're not a local, that can get pretty aggressive pretty fast. Also, if you're not a local, you probably don't know the terrain very well as where all the trails are. And you have to remember, up until race day, there's racers out there pre-running this race course. And you don't want to be on the race course when someone's pre-running it. There is a chance for an accident to happen. I used to take a rig out every year, and on the days that I wasn't announcing, I'd go four-wheeling. But I've found in the past, it's a lot better. If you want to go four-wheeling in Johnson Valley, watch another one of my videos called Make Your Own Build for Off-Road Adventure. That video is going to come out soon. We're going to talk about four-wheeling in Johnson Valley. It's a lot better if you just go out there on your own, you and your friends, and you go four-wheeling. You're going to have a good time. During King of the Hammers, Rock Week, or Race Week, I personally don't think that that's the best time to be out there recreational four-wheeling. You can get a rental car that's four-wheel drive. Like I said before, you can get a Jeep or a pickup truck, and that'll get you to the basically the viewing area at Chocolate Thunder, which is a great place to watch the race, or the spectator area at the bottom of Backdoor. That's another great place to get to the race. You could get a rental car to those two places if you know the terrain. So it's better to have a four-wheel drive vehicle just in case. The last thing you want to do is get your Hyundai Sonata stuck in the sand out in the middle of nowhere, Johnson Valley, when the sun's going down, because trust me, it's going to get real lonely real fast. So my personal opinion or advice to you is no, do not take a vehicle to go four-wheeling in Johnson Valley during the King of the Hammers race, especially if it's your first time there. So you've made the decision, you're going to fly to Palm Springs, you're going to stay in Yucca, you've got a rental car, you're going to drive out and watch the race. Where do you watch the race from, and what do you need to know? So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have Onyx Off-Road on your phone. During the race, they will post up the race course, which is very important because you need to know where not to be. If you do rent a four-wheel drive Jeep or a four-wheel drive pickup truck and you decide to go out into the desert to watch some of the racing, here's some common sense, basically pieces of information for you. So number one, if you're looking at the race course and you see a turn in the desert, especially in the desert in a high-speed section, they're going to come up here and they're going to turn left, okay? You don't want to be here. Never be on the outside of a turn, because if a racer's coming through the desert and they miss that turn, they're coming at you fast. You want to make sure that you're well off the race course, and if you're in a turn, preferably be inside the turn and be a ways away. Like when I say a ways away, I mean like 300-400 feet away from the posted race course, if you can even get to that area. The better thing to do is to just go to the spectator areas that are marked on the Onyx off-road map. You'll see them. They're usually at bottom of Chocolate Thunder, bottom of Backdoor, and I believe sometimes there's one over by Laser Nut Alley. Those are two areas that are usually fenced off. They're very safe. You don't have to worry when you're out there. You'll see a lot of other spectators. They're easy to get to, and you can see Hammertown from those areas, so getting back to Hammertown will be very easy. Second thing you need to pay attention to is weather. So if you're coming from somewhere and this is your first time in the desert in February, yeah, it's the desert. It's not warm. It's cold. So plan for that. Make sure you bring lots of layered clothes, you know, honestly, like jackets, hoodies, sweatshirts, everything. You may take it off when the sun comes out. When that sun goes down, trust me, you're gonna get cold. But just because it's cold and the sun's out doesn't mean you can't get dehydrated. So make sure that you've planned for the day. If you're in a rental car and you decide you're gonna go out to one of these spectator areas, make sure you have food and water with you when you're out there, because you're gonna be out in the desert all by yourself. So it's best to make sure that you plan for that. Just plan like as if you're going of a day four-wheeling. So take snacks, take food, take everything you need, and make sure that you have enough clothes that you're good and comfortable out there in the desert. But most importantly, just remember, stay safe. You are watching an actual desert race. So use your head, get Onyx off-road, and see where you're supposed to be. Hammertown. What is it? So Hammertown is a fenced off area in Johnson Valley that you can only get access to if you buy a ticket. Now, is entire area Johnson Valley, it's public land. So there's a lot of back and forth sometimes between spectators as to, should I have to buy a ticket because it's public land? Should I buy a ticket to get into Hammertown? Is it worth going into Hammertown? The answer is, realistically, even if you don't go into Hammertown, buy the ticket. I mean, I think the tickets are maybe $100, maybe $150 to get into Hammertown to watch the race. That's a small price to pay. If you've ever attended any other type of racing event, you know that $100 is not a lot of money. And it's supporting basically the sport itself, so it's in everyone's best interest. So buy your ticket. You can buy it ahead of time online and sometimes save a little bit of money, but if you don't buy it ahead of time, you can buy it right when you show up. But get the Hammertown minimum, get access to Hammertown ticket. Now, saying that, there's also other things that you can get. If this is your first time going to King of the Hammers and you want the best experience that you can have, get the Warn Winch VIP experience. Warren puts up this amazing tent right at the start-finish line with a big open area that looks out on the start-finish line. TVs inside playing the race all day long with the live commentary being fed in. Food all day, like good food too. So good food all day long, hot coffee, hot cocoa, snacks, foods, flushing toilets, which, trust me, once you've been out there for a few days, that flushing toilet is gonna seem like a godsend. Flushing toilets, and it's just a great place to hang out. It's a little bit more money, but if it's your first time at King of the Hammers, spring for the Warn VIP treatment. What else is there to do in Hammertown? Tons of stuff. There's a lot of vendors inside Hammertown. There's vendors outside Hammertown. If this is your first time going to King of the Hammers, take advantage of all of those things. I know that usually every year Ford does ride-alongs in brand new Broncos. Sign up to do that. There's side-by-side drive events where you get to drive a side-by-side, follow a guide out in the desert. Do those things. Go see all of the vendors. Check them all out. And then just experience Hammertown. Walk up and down the pit lanes. Most of the racers, they're not going to bother you if you stand at the edge of their pit tent and just watch them work on the car. Or heck, they may even offer to sell you a t-shirt or a hoodie, or you may even make a good friend, and then next year you're working on their pit crew. That's the type of environment that exists inside Hammertown at Johnson Valley. If you really want to experience King of the Hammers, what it is what you make of it. So take advantage of all those things and get out there and just experience everything. Lastly, as always, food. As you know, I'm a huge fan of food. So, King of the Hammers, is there good food in the middle of nowhere, Johnson Valley, California, during the race? You're damn right there is. Okay, here are my 2 recommendations if you're in Hammertown. Number 1, Dang Brothers Pizza. You will not regret that. You will eat a pizza like you couldn't believe. Trust me. Middle of nowhere, you're gonna get a great wood-fired pizza. Second of all, this would probably be my number 1 choice. I eat there. It's terrible because as an announcer, they give me free food, but I will go buy La Bufadoro taco truck. That's all you need to know. Go to La Bufadoro taco truck, get a fish taco, get a pastor if they have it. Sometimes they sell out, and get the potato taco. It'll change your life. That taco combo that they sell, it is absolutely amazing. I look forward to it every single year. So those are my 2 food recommendations in Johnson Valley during King of the Hammers. Now, yeah, there's lots of good food out in Yucca. There's lots of great food back in Palm Springs. But when you're on the lake bed, those are my 2 food recommendations. Lastly, we need to talk about just a couple of rules in general if you're going to go to King of the Hammers for the first time. Number 1, pick up your trash. Remember, it's public land. You're responsible for it. Leave it better than you found it. Find memories, leave only footprints, I think is the saying, or take memories, leave only footprints. If you see garbage on the ground, pick it up. If you see trash on the ground, pick it up. That's truly the most important thing. Also, fireworks. This has become a huge issue lately. We're not supposed to have fireworks in Johnson Valley. You're not supposed to have fireworks during the event. So if your plan is to bring fireworks, leave them at home. If you need to have fireworks, go somewhere else. That's just the reality of it. So fireworks, don't need them, doesn't have to happen. Lastly, driving around King of the Hammers. So if you're in a rental car and you're driving in and out of Johnson Valley, you really got to keep your head on a swivel. You have to remember, you're driving a rental car on the road, but at the same time, there's going to be side-by-sides cutting across the road. There's going to be race teams out pre-running. They might be coming across the road. So when you're driving in and driving out, especially at night, keep your head on a swivel. This is where you need to be seriously offensive driving. You need to pay attention to everything. You can't just be cruising with your hand on the wheel. So you need to see, where are those headlights coming from? Where are those headlights going? Is this person going to cut in front of me? Is that person going to go that way? Pay attention all the time when you're driving in and out of Johnson Valley on Boone Road. There's a lot more traffic there than you think. So after all of that, is it worth going to King of the Hammers? I think that there's certain events that are basically bucket list items in every gearhead, car person, car aficionado, off-roader's life. And definitely being on the lake bed in Johnson Valley during King of the Hammers is one of them. Do you need to go every year? Not necessarily. Should you experience it once? Yes. Is the live stream coverage better to watch at home than trying to watch the race live from the desert? Absolutely. But being on the lake bed during the event to see it all unfold is something that you want to do at least once in your life.